I think I saw you. Just to see.
Welcome back. It is 10:22. We will proceed with our regular board meeting. We have a quorum. Are there any announcements or correspondence? No? Okay.
Didn't we have some requests about open records and also about comments about the historical marker?
We had letters, but they were addressed to the board's agent, Mrs. Stevens, not to the board.
Okay. Has everybody read the minutes from the last meeting? Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the last board meeting?
I so move.
Do I? Any discussion? All in favor?
Wait a minute, I got a discussion. The minutes I have has Jody mentioned as a director.
Director of Operations.
But it says Director Stevens. And I think it might have, should have read Director Hagan, but I'm not sure.
It's on page 3, about 3/4 of the way down.
Oh, Director Stevens. Okay, it should be Direct D.O. How's that? Okay?
Okay.
Okay, anything else?
Just a minute. Is it page 3? So
Yeah, page 3.
Okay, no further discussion. All in favor? Raise your hand. All vote unanimously. Motion passes, or the minutes pass. Okay. Director of Operations report, Ms. Stevens.
Since we're running short on time, I would like, this is a very important piece of some information. So I'm going to ask Rihanna Hay to just shed some light on member services and how the whole department really works, and kind of catch you up to speed of things that have been fixed and things that she's been working on. Here's Rihanna Hay.
Okay. Good morning. My name is Rihanna Hay, and I am Member Services for Fort Clark Springs Association. I'm hoping to share the knowledge I have learned over the last year and a half to you, the members, and I'm hoping to help out with a miscommunicating or lack of. First of all, I moved here February 2010, and from the moment I drove across the bridge, I was in awe of this beautiful place. What I'm hoping for is that everyone can try and remember that moment for themselves. Before the salespeople, before the rumors, just that moment you enter the fort for the first time. We still have this beautiful place, and I hope after I show you where this place was, is, and maybe going to be, some or a lot of the tension will fade away. After speaking with lots of members, past and present, I have quite the picture of what this place was like in the 70s through the 90s. It was a sale of awesome recreation. It was also very high pressure, giving away cordless phones and TVs and such. It sounded like to me like a timeshare. It was set up to sell 8,000 memberships. Of that, 2,000 family record memberships can be sold. Memberships that were attached to property that had access to sewage and water could be built on when you are ready. Charter memberships, which are memberships that you have the option to turn in and opt up on a performing lot. Then have 6 months to build your residence as per the regulations to that particular unit. Then there's the sale of non-performing lots. These are the lots you see in yellow. Non-performing means these lots will never have water or sewage, will never be able to be built on. They sold 4,504 of these lots. Why would anybody want to buy a lot you could not build with anything on? This is where the high pressure came in. It sounded like this. People would come in, be shown a lot, I think just one lot, over by the bridge in Unit 1. The salespeople would tell them, this place is going to really boom. But to not commit yourself on one particular lot, you might just want to invest while these prices stay low and buy into the association now, and when ready to move or retire, come back and find the perfect place to live and build. You can pay for your lot now or over the next 10 years and then turn this non-performing lot into a performing lot and build within 6 months, all with just a transfer fee and hookup fees to water and sewage. So with that many memberships, you can afford to offer a lot of recreation. You can even host parties, hire out security with real law enforcement ability. They were able to give a lot to the members with that kind of money rolling in. Then, effective September 1st, 1999, the Colonias Act. Any subdivision with 2 or more residential lots outside city limits within 50 miles of the Texas-Mexico border cannot sell lots that do not have water and sewage available. So starting September 1st, 1999 was the beginning of losing over half our memberships. So from 8,000, the potential is now 3,496. Now we still have these charter memberships and non-performing lots. The association can honor these, but we cannot sell them, and neither can realtors. Now when I say honor, the member may transfer outside the association among member to member. The dues just have to be current, and the transfer fee must be paid along with a recorded deed, if not a charter membership. Now is a good time to explain what inactive account is. The problem with high-pressure sales is people go home and people have buyer's remorse. Let me back up just a little. The Fort at this time just received transfer fees and monthly dues. North American Towns of Texas was your interstate land sales and note holders until they went under in 1996 and the Fort bought out their inventory. Back to high pressure sales. North American Town would send out letters to members that stopped paying. With that letter was a special warranty deed, giving it back to North American Town. It also stated that if you did not sign this deed or get current on payment, North American Towns would foreclose. Guess what? They never foreclosed. And not only that, but North American Town would pay the property tax on this. So when the buyout happened between 96 and 97, Fort Clark Springs should have gotten real estate legal counsel, and they should have done a major sheriff sale and dissolved the bulk of the non-performing lots. That did not happen, and taxes began to stack up. So in 2007, the association talked Kinney County Appraisal District into returning the taxes back to the recorded owners. It had been 10 years. Now, Appraisal District has some responsibility in this also. They should have never transferred the taxes to North American Towns without a deed or a deed in lieu of foreclosure. This brings me to inactive. These accounts should be written off as bad debt. I cannot write them off because I do not have the deed. We would have to foreclose. The association would have to pay the back taxes or make a deal with the tax office, school, MUD, underground water district. Not saying this can't still happen, but it's going to be very time consuming, and I'm a two-man band with the help of Renee. So slowly we are cleaning these up as people call or when the tax office forecloses on them. But we are looking at a pace of 80 a year. I still have 1,786 of these non-performing lots to get back before I can dissolve the plat. So it looks like legislation has changed our ability to sell recreation. So what is there now? We have the sale of affordable living. We have a great place to come and learn and even see history. We have the 3rd largest spring-fed pool in Texas. We have an RV park, 18-hole golf course, and a restaurant on the grounds. So we want great neighbors, happy members, and visitors that come and look in awe and maybe want to move here or tell their friends and family to come check this place out. Where do we start? We start with ourselves. Check our motive before we do or speak. Make sure if you are fighting for something, you know what that something is. And it can be accomplished, and don't make it personal. Don't do something just because you don't like somebody. That is not good motive. Responsibility of press. Letter to the editors have rules and policy to follow. Cannot be over 350 words, no name calling, and no gratuitous abuse, meaning unnecessary abuse. Telling someone to eat a chocolate pie made of poop is unnecessary abuse. Now, if your paper likes the way certain individuals write and wants to give freedom of speech, give them their own column and claim their rhetoric as your own. If you have a pet project, something that is near and dear to you, say line dancing or putting RV pads or having an adult center open 24/7, Come up with ideas to help with the cost, like bake sales, RV park dances from 6 to 10. The adult center's electricity for the month of April was over $900. It wasn't that cold or hot. Help figure out a way to raise money to maybe put solar panels. We have a lot of smart people here. We just need to put our heads together and get along. Board meetings need to be conducted in a professional manner, using parliamentary procedure. I saw an individual storm to the front of the members to address the board and address that she did not receive emails. This was in regards to the first annual meeting. This year, I was a little confused because she might not have received an email, but I know for a fact she was at the meeting because I have her signature on the 43rd annual meeting sign-in sheet. Then there was the reading and discussion of the statement of authority to transfer real property. I would like to say, if you are a board member and a member asks you a question about something, you please call and ask. These meetings are recorded and are a representation of the fort. If I had no idea about the fort or wanted to see if I would like to move here and watch some of these board meetings, I would be very leery of coming here. So back to this document. Fort Clark Springs has lots and foreclosed lots and structures for sale. These properties have memberships attached to them. When a buyer wants an owner's policy on the property, it has to go through a title company. The title company has certain conditions that need to be met to insure the property. One document they need is a document showing who can sign on behalf of the association. This form saves the association $200 or whatever an attorney would charge for doc preparation fee, as a blanket document with limitations of transactions under $25,000. This document does not give access to sell Dickman Hall, the swimming pool, nothing unless it has a membership number attached to it and is in the association's name. Now, the last meeting jumped ahead about foreclosures. This board, as per Texas homeowners law, or whatever we got to do, needs to appoint a trustee to exercise the power of sale. The last example we have as a board appointing was in 2011. In the minutes, order under discussion, consideration, appointment of trustee for foreclosure, Bill Hahn moved to appoint Rod Stewart, Director of Operations, as trustee to act on behalf of the associations as it relates to foreclosures. The motion was seconded and carried with all voting in favor. Hattie Burless stated that the trustee had to be the registered agent for the association. So with that said, this discussion and appointment needs to be put on an agenda so the association can start cleaning up some lots around here. I would like to close with some food for thought and modify a famous quote by President Kennedy. Ask not what your association can do for you, but what you can do for your association. None of us can take this place with us when we die, but the time you were here, did you help or did you hurt? When you walk into a room, do you notice people coming towards you to seek your wisdom, or do you notice people looking for the exit? How sad it would be to me to know this place is better off now that I am gone. That would not be a legacy I would want or would want for my children. I hope as I stand here you see my heart, and I hope the criticism is taken constructively and not personally. Fort Clark Springs is a gym, and we all have good in us. We just need everyone to see that side. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Renee. Rihanna. Excuse me. Too many R's.
In reference to Ms. Hayes' letter, that cleaning up of the lot sales is something I wish to start when I first got on the board, and we're testing on doing it, but it's really a big rock around the fort's neck. That's something we have to work on diligently to be able to get control of the fort. You know, to be able to get control of the property, to turn it into green space, to use it for anything, and all that bad debt that we're carrying around with it is a rock around their neck. I mean, we've just got to get rid of it somehow. I'm not sure how you can write it all off and just get rid of the deeds, but there has to be a legal procedure to do it. And I'm sure it's not fast, but we really have to endeavor to work on that.
Well, I think part of what Rihanna is doing is exactly that. And, you know, it's kind of stuff that she's sitting in a cubbyhole office working on that we don't see, but it's appreciated. Okay. Committee and organization reports. Architectural? Oh, we got two. Go ahead, Glenn.
Okay, we had,
You the man.
we had 9 requests for building permits. We tabled one for lack of evidence, lack of information. We approved it. We had one that we outright denied because it was illegal, what they wanted to do. We had 2 extensions on permits that had run out and they requested extension. We sent out one letter advising the person that they were about to run out. it.
Thank you, sir. Golf.
There was not a quorum, so there was not a meeting.
Thank you. Preservation. I think Garland is on an emergency bereavement leave. Community Council.
Howdy, I'm Steve Giblin, Vice President of Community Council. How y'all doing? Good. Community Council met last Saturday, May the 10th at 10 o'clock. You should have been there. We had a lively discussion with respect for other people's opinions, and some people's opinions got changed after they looked at other people's opinions and thought about it, and then added some comments of their own. And when we left, we felt like we accomplished something. Can you imagine that? Some of the items we discussed was bingo restarting September 26th. Also, 2 $500 scholarships are heading over to 2 students selected from six applicants to be awarded on May 22nd over at the high school. We had an update from Garland Young on the Preservation and Restoration Society and where they are in that endeavor and where they want to go with it. And there also was some discussion about a possible use of the back gate we have down there at the end of the road past the RV park, maybe for the larger RVs that want to knock that shingle off the security shack, maybe for the larger ones to use that back gate instead of trying to come through the front. One thing people are really excited about is our next community council meeting. We're going to have Philip Garcia, head of maintenance, to speak to us, and we encourage you to bring any of your questions or concerns to that meeting and speak right to the man on that. That'll be on June 14th. Also at that meeting there'll be a discussion on the future of Fort Clark Days as it relates to community council. These are some of the things we discussed, but the two big and most lengthy and most lively discussions were number one was the garage sales here on Fort Clark Springs, and pointed out to us that some of these are weekly garage sales at the same residence every week, which we feel like constitutes running a business out of your home. And during these garage sale, usually Saturdays, it's kind of a wide open security gate policy to customers who are going to these basic retail outlet garage sale stores on the fort. We've got some addresses on this, and I've been out of town all week, but I'm going to turn this over to security and to administration and have them take a look at this if this is a violation, which it certainly appears to be. Some remedies on this situation, just for thought, is, and they may have done this in the past, I've been here but 5 or 6 years, is maybe a possible twice a year or even an annual Fort-wide garage sale, and let's get it done on one weekend, and after that there just won't be. And we'd also like to get a ruling from now bylaws, HOA, XYZ, whoever's in control now on how often a resident can have a garage sale. Maybe it says they can have one every week. I just don't know. Second topic, community council members who were present at that meeting had a very, very strong concern on the lack of a 5th member of this board of directors. Our suggestion on that, we're asking the directors to reopen the interview process to find a 5th board member. This was before I heard from the lawyer this morning, if this applies. If it doesn't, let's go with what does apply. We feel like we need that 5th member. See, from where we're sitting out there, it looks so incomplete here. And we know that somewhere the best interests of the fort have been put back on the back burner, and we want to see it, brought to the fore. See, this is a board of directors meeting we're sitting in right now. The community meeting is on the second Saturday of every month at 10 o'clock, where everybody in the room is a board of director. And our job is to take those concerns, which we've been doing, to where it needs to go, whether it be administration, board of directors, director of operations, people in the office up here, security. We don't always get the answer we want, but we feel like we're doing our job. We took the collective voice of those who were there on that Saturday morning, who spoke for the community as best we know because they were present at the meeting, and we took the concerns where it needed to go. That's our board of directors meetings there. Rihanna's right. I drive up here. I live on the last house on the block, literally. And I got to drive through the whole fort on the way up here to this, and this is a beautiful place. I agree. And I'd like to think that and give everybody the benefit of the doubt that the best interests of the fort, I think, are number one in our hearts here. I really do. I just not going to believe otherwise. And I know we go left and right sometimes away from that main purpose. But I think we do want to see this stay the beautiful place it's always been. I wish I'd have found it many, many years ago. I truly do. And I look around this room, I know some of you guys were in some strong positions in some very big companies, including myself, and we're talking about a $2 million budget that we seem to have trouble with. There's companies represented in this room. $2 million was the budget for the office supplies. I know that. So I just can't believe that we can't put our collective heads, and God, there's some smart people in this room, and some captains of industry and retired military that are used to making some big, big decisions. And I like to see us all put our heads together and come up with the best interests of this sport. Maybe we're too smart. Maybe you're too smart. I know I'm not. But I still believe it can be done. Thank you for your time, and hopefully we'll see you next month, and we'll have some more lively discussions with respect to other people's opinions and wide open minds. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Appreciate it. Recycling, this past week we sent out 24 Gaylords, and we already had 5 we had to keep back because of what we were allowed to put in the truck. So recycling is going good. So again, like I've always said before, bring us your junk, trash, so we can keep, and recycling, whether it makes money or not, is keeping the landfill from being filled up, and we have to make new ones all the time. Okay.
I would like to interject something there with Steve's comment about the budgets and the amount of people we have on this fort that have controlled budgets that the office supplies were $2 million. I mean, it's not, there's a lot of very skilled people on this fort. And early on, I proposed that we have some steering committees, whatever you want to call them, to assist the board and things like that. Groups of concerned individuals on the fort that have expertise and abilities in different areas, advertising, budgetary, whatever it happens to be. A lot of people here have a lot of skills they spent 30 or 40 years developing in industry that collectively would be a great asset to the fort. And then on the budget, I have some questions on the, we still don't have a year to date or comparison to last year's budget numbers. We were told that was going to happen at some point in time. Is that still?
Okay. Item number 7, discussion approval of the appointment of the architectural committee members. Do I have a motion to discuss the approval of the architect committee members?
So moved.
Do I have?
Second.
Second. Okay. Open for discussion.
how were the how was the terms advertised? I mean, how did people know to apply?
The people that were on the committee or who are on the committee expressed a desire to continue.
But it wasn't offered to anybody else?
Doesn't have to be.
Well, it may not have to be, but it would be the thing to do.
Well, if we did it, it says that they can continue for another term. And the three people who expressed a desire to continue are Glenn White, Phyllis Giblin, and Aileen Reed.
Do we have any indication that anyone else showed any interest in being on the architectural committee?
No, and that's all I would ask for. If someone else did, they should be thrown in there too.
Well,
I have no trouble with those people there. They've done a wonderful job thus far. However, when their term is up, if anybody else displays desire to be on there, I think they should be considered as well.
That's
That's
fine.
up to the architectural committee to actually do that. Put together the names of the people who want to be on there.
Usually by committee itself usually solicits replacement people. And they didn't have to do that because they had the people who just, wanted to remain.
I think it would, I think it would only be fair to solicit other people if they were interested. If they're not, that's great.
Well, but we didn't have a need to replace anybody because the board was going to remain. It's just that they have to be approved by year.
I don't think that's fair to the membership. There may not be anybody else that desires to be on there either. We may be fortunate that these three people are the ones that want to remain, because we may never have any others.
Well, I don't know if anybody expressed a desire. I don't know, Mr. White, has anybody come to you and asked you?
What did you say?
Can't hear you.
They're supposed to apply to the board. Not us.
Okay, well, that's fine. I didn't get any.
Why don't we table this till next meeting and see if we can find some other people that might want to serve on there?
Okay, I think for that matter, the architectural committee then would remain the same. We're announcing it right now that if those who are interested in being on the architectural committee should submit their names. And we'll table this until the next meeting.
But
agree.
but the people who are on this committee and the people whose term is up will still remain on the board until...
That's correct.
Right.
Until they're either approved by the board or
Right.
approved one way or another.
The architectural committee members will not change until we learn whether anybody else is interested or not. It'll stay the same until it changes.
That's
And,
correct.
and for your information, these are one-year terms, so you can keep that in mind if a year from now you decide you want to run. Okay.
Okay, well then I move that we suspend action on this for 1 month and allow members to submit their names, and we'll for approval at the next board meeting.
I'd second that.
All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Okay, next item up is the discussion. Texas Historical Marker application. Do I have a motion to discuss the Texas Historical Marker application?
I move that we give permission to the state of Texas to allow them to
That's not what I asked.
We may have some questions.
I have to open it for discussion. That's what we're going to do first. Okay?
I move that we open it for discussion.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
Yes, the fort only has to give permission to the state of Texas to put this marker on their property. It's a marker from a guy that was, John Horse, that was ambushed down here by the the original Fort Cemetery. And 2 guys were ambushed, 1 was killed, the other survived. They're very intrinsic to the fort's history, and the only obligation we have is to give permission to the state of Texas that they can put that marker on private property.
Do we anticipate any future expense or liability? In other words, do we have to, if the sign becomes damaged, are we responsible for paying for a new one, or do we have to pay for any upkeep or permissions or anything like that?
I'm with Sandra. I have no problem other than to know if there is any liability or obligation to the fort that we don't know about. That's all I wanted to find out.
I'm sure there isn't, but Mr. Hahn can probably
I understand
address
that. I understand that, but my question, that was why I wanted to discuss it. And if we can get Mr. Hahn to give us the procedure, and my other question would be, and Mr. Hahn again could answer this, if this was, did he already apply for the marker and got permission to do it, and now he's asking the fort for permission to put it up, or is he at the beginning saying, okay, I'm getting fort permission, and now I'm going to apply? That's all I want to know.
I'm following the same procedure that I did last year on the Les Morris spring marker, that I got no response whatsoever from the board of directors on the marker application. The marker application cannot be submitted without the property owner's signature. So I don't do things.
That's fine. Well, that's all I want. Right, I understand.
And then come and try to get it done correctly.
I understand that. That's why I asked the question.
This marker is free. If it is approved, last year there were 63 statewide applications for this marker program. 14 were selected. Les Morris Spring was one of them. So our application will compete statewide and be reviewed by a committee of the Texas Historical Commission, who will decide which subjects merit funding under the Undertold Stories program, and marker application funds are used to pay for the marker. Every marker application in the state of Texas has a $100 non-refundable application fee. Since 2006, that money has gone into a fund which have funded the cost of markers statewide under the Undertold Stories program. This marker, we have one on the fort, and that's at the 2nd Cavalry Division marker. There's one in the city of Brackettville at the Carver School, and there's one that we will have, hopefully by the end of the year, for Les Morris Spring. These markers now cost $1,700. They are the property of the state of Texas. So if the marker is the property of the state of Texas, that should satisfy your question of zero liability on the part of Fort Clark Springs Association. And as Mr. Roberson so correctly stated, the state of Texas is asking the applicant, which is the Friends of the Fort Clark Historic District, has the property owner given permission to install this marker on their property. Now, because last year I could get no response from the board of directors, I went to Fort Clark Mud. And Fort Clark Mud signed the application, and when the Les Morris Spring marker arrives, it'll be installed on Fort Clark Mud property, not Fort Clark Springs property.
Right. Well, that, like I said, my only question was, or questions were, if we are liable for any kind of expenses on it.
Have I satisfactorily?
Yes, you have. You actually have. And that's why I asked the question. And, if the other question is that if we, by signing this application, are step number 1, then that you then have to submit to get approval of the plaque, is that the correct procedure?
Yes.
Or has the plaque been approved and now you're asking for permission to put it
I
up?
thought I already said that I don't do that kind of thing.
Okay, that's fine. I just want to make sure I understand it. Okay, that's fine. And that's why
But I do require and have requested that permission be granted today.
Okay.
Because there is a deadline for these applications of June the 15th
Oh.
to the state of Texas, and then they meet at the end of July, and they tell the recipients, they send an email out statewide to all the applicants, telling them who was accepted and who was rejected.
who installs the marker?
In the past, it's been installed by Fort Clark Springs Maintenance.
I'm just asking. I don't know. It was just, yeah, no,
If the state of Texas does not install the marker,
Okay.
they just provide the marker, and the marker belongs to them. Each marker says on it, property of the state of Texas.
Okay.
Bill, I see two different locations here. I don't know if that's just.
Right?
Excuse me. The picture provided here looks like it's two different locations. I just want
Let's just take them from two different angles.
yeah, see, the one is out
Yeah,
here.
the second photograph was taken from over here,
Well, see, that's,
looking back this way. So it's in the grove of trees.
okay, yeah, this was just on this side of the grove, and
Right,
then on the other.
those are just general locations. One marker.
Okay.
I must state that without the aggressive research by Chris Hale into this subject, I wouldn't even have considered nominating. This is a nomination. That's what it is. It's a nomination for a marker. And John Horse was ambushed at the cemetery in broad daylight in 1876, correct? May of 1876?
Yes.
And his companion was killed in that ambush. His body wasn't found till 2 days later. And it's appropriate to recognize that individual's prominence in American history as a freedom fighter and as a man of integrity. And we have an opportunity to do that. We may not make the cut. And that's happened in the past with both the 2nd Cavalry Division marker and the Carver School marker. We didn't make the cut. But the next year, we're the only county in the state of Texas that got 2 markers. And they're free. So it's a win-win situation as far as I can see.
Thank you, Mr. Hahn. Okay.
I move that we give permission to the Texas Historical to place the marker. It's a very interesting story, and because of the Seminole connection, I think it is probably very important to the fort. So I move that we
Approve it?
give permission
Okay.
to place the marker where it's according to the nomination sheets.
Do we have a second?
I will second it because I want to modify your motion, I guess.
Okay.
I think that we should direct the Director of Operations to sign the application no later than Monday at 11 o'clock. This coming Monday at no later than 11 o'clock. And I would also like to include that the fort, if no one else is available, that the fort maintenance does set the marker when it arrives.
I have no objection to that. It's probably, I don't know. How long does it take to set a marker, Mr. Hahn, do you know?
Well, if the Las Moores spring marker is any indication, this wouldn't show up till 2016.
Oh, okay, so not an immediate expense, something
No,
we
I'm
can
sure
put
we
in
just
the...
have to probably pour a little 2x2 concrete footing and stick the post in it and hold it level till the concrete dries. It shouldn't be a big project.
Can we put you there to hold the level? No, just kidding. Okay, anyway, we have a motion and a second. Right? All in favor?
Well, Sandy will have
No,
to.
I will
okay.
revise my motion.
Excuse me.
I'm sorry, I was just assuming that all went together, but maybe not. I'll be more specific with my motion, that we allow the state to place the marker on Fort Clark property as requested, that if no others are available, that we put in the budget to allow maintenance to install a marker if it's necessary, and any actions going along with that installation.
And to have somebody sign it.
And, well, yes, we have to have someone sign it.
We have to sign the
but
application,
We will,
yes.
hopefully maybe to even take care of it today if it's possible. Do we have the original document?
I have one right here.
All right, okay, we can probably get it signed for you today, actually. So, that's my motion.
I would second.
Okay.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Unanimous, okay. Okay, next item for discussion is the appointment of director. I think we kind of went through that earlier, and we'll come up with a solution to that, hopefully very soon.
I move that we discuss the appointment of a director.
Second.
He seconds it. We'll discuss.
Do we get a second? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Okay. Discussion.
I would like to ask the board to vote to agree with our bylaws and appoint Myrna as a director, although I think it's probably wise, as Sandy's methodology, to get the other half of that opinion if she wishes one. And I think that we should also agree on which law firm we will use. I think we should use Langley and Benak, and I think that we should make an action item to that effect, and to appoint Myrna to the board until otherwise.
Okay, I just want to make sure I understand. You do agree that we do need a legal opinion to make sure that the opinion given today, which was very much appreciated, since it is a confusing issue, you agree that we do need to...
I do not agree that we should, however, I will not object to getting one.
Good.
And I think that when we get one, we should get it from Langley and Benak.
Okay.
And I think we should vote to use.
We've got more than one thing here.
We've
so-
got to get an opinion first, I think, and then we can have an emergency meeting and do it.
Okay. Please,
Well,
ladies and gentlemen.
we're in the discussion.
Yeah, we're in a
now.
discussion period right
So
now.
that's my discussion is, I think we should take a vote whether we should appoint Myrna, and then we should take a vote on following your methodology. That's a wise move.
Okay, I think we should reverse the order of that, because we can't do one without the other. Okay, but, all right, and then what, if I understand what you're also saying on a separate motion, however, if we are found, if it is finally determined that the bylaws are such, then her appointment according to the bylaws will stand. If it is determined that the state statute applies, then we would be back to square one.
I would agree.
All right.
Except we don't have to wait on a ruling from any attorney. The four of us now can just appoint her. We can elect her between us.
Yes.
Well, I think the way, you're looking at two different questions on how to appoint a director to a position in using the one situation when a director passes away. One group says one thing, one group says the other. I think we need to find out which is correct first before we appoint.
Are you asking for ladies and gentlemen, please, this is a board discussion. Are you asking then that we do a temporary appointment, a potentially temporary appointment?
That would be correct.
B, is that what you are?
If the law, the lawyers conflict in their opinion, whatever happens, and we have to judicially solve it, flip a coin, whatever we do, she will be on the board until that point in time.
Okay. Then you realize that if it is determined that the state statute follows and not our bylaws, or it supersedes our bylaws, that decisions made during that time could be subject.
That's correct, as could the ones that you have been involved in since you've been here.
Okay. Well,
Because if we go by the HOA book, we can appoint Myrna Castle to the board. If we go by the bylaws, we can appoint Myrna Castle to the board. Depending, if we go by
Well, you
either
can-
one, we can do it.
But we already voted on appointing candidates, and we could not agree. So now you're saying you don't want to go by that ruling?
No, I'm asking you maybe if you would
Ladies and
agree.
gentlemen, we'll clear the courtroom if we have to. This is a board meeting. You are allowed to sit here and listen. You are not here to speak at this time. The discussion period is coming up.
We have the right, by any bylaws, as B spoke, any,
It is
we have done nothing illegal by appointing Myrna Castle now, and I believe that we should.
But we didn't agree on Myrna Castle.
I'm asking you still.
Well, we had two finalists, ladies and gentlemen, and they didn't agree with our choice. So, I mean, that's...
You know, why can't we put our choice on the, if you want to go that, their choice and our choice, why can't we put our choice on?
It's the members' choice and they vote.
Please.
Sir, would you
The
turn
question-
down that microphone? You're blowing this place out. Would you please turn down
Oh,
that
just
microphone?
push it back. I'm sorry, we
sorry.
weren't aware. We can't hear what you hear. So thank you.
All I'm saying is that we have a conflicting issue here. I don't think we can act on it until we find out which is correct, period.
We have the right to act on it, you just don't
Now,
want to be,
now.
act on it until you're legally forced.
No, not forced. I did not want, at the time, Myrna Castle on the board. I had that right to vote no. We all had that right to vote on who, yes or no. Now the question is, was that the correct way to do it or not? We'll ask the lawyer, and that's all. If the lawyer says that she is the next person that gets the job, she has the job. No questions asked. I'm not going to run up and down the walls and scream and holler. All I want to do is get the legal ramifications of it, period. And I don't think you can put her on there in the hopes that she's going to be there, and then turns out, nope, sorry, Myrna, you're out.
I think the board has the ability and the right and the legality to do what they vote on.
I understand that, but we tried that.
Well, I'm asking,
Well,
I move that we, the
Okay.
discussion is, I move that we do that.
I respect that choice, and I have, it's not that I voted against Myrna. She's a very intelligent, very nice, very capable woman. The other candidate is also very capable, very experienced, and as I explained before, I appreciated his management experience, his budgeting experience, the things that he could bring to the fort that I thought were important at the time. So it wasn't a matter of voting against Mrs. Castle. Is the point. The other candidate was, I won't get his name right. Lundgren? Lyle Lundgren.
Did he run for the board?
Lundgren. Lyle Lundgren. And we saw different things in the candidates, as you well know. And again, isn't that we didn't appreciate Myrna Castle's abilities. She is a fine, very fine lady. But I don't know either of those candidates personally. I just like the experience and the background of the second candidate as far as Fort business is concerned. So it's not that I'm just trying to explain to you as I tried to explain it to you the day that we did the interviews, is that I just think that candidate will bring more to the board as far as experience in the areas where the board needs it. So that's why we have a stalemate.
So, we'll vote on the motion then?
You can
No.
call for a vote, but
I still don't think we can put Myrna Castle on as a temporary, not knowing that she can or cannot stay. I don't think that's fair. It's not fair to her. It's not fair to us. It's not fair to the operation.
It's almost temporary though. It's only, 9, 10 months, and at least we'll have some.
No, I'm talking about supposing that we get an opinion from the lawyer that says she cannot be on the board. That's all I'm saying. I think we need to ask and get it done correctly. And if we go to the lawyer get an opinion, and if the lawyer gives us an opinion within the week and says Myrna Castle has to be the board member, then we will have a meeting and put her on the board, period. It's not like we're gonna wait, I don't think we'll wait another month. I think we can have a emergency board meeting and put her on the board if that's what the legalities of it are, period.
Well, under section 209.00593, a board member may be appointed by the board to fill a vacancy on the board. We have the legal ability to do it. And that's what my motion was. I wish for us, it's a two-part motion. One, to vote to appoint Myrna Castle to the board. Two, to require Langley and Benak as our council of record. And I move that we have them address this issue.
Okay, well, let's do one issue at a time. I would be happy to make a motion that we authorize our Langley and Bennett as our attorney. We need to do that first.
But I have a motion already.
Okay, I understand. You can call for a vote.
I do. I would move the question.
And restate it, please.
That we appoint Myrna Castle to the board of directors per our bylaws and Texas state law. We have the right to do that. We have the obligation to do it. Our bylaws say that we shall. And that we agree that the attorney of Langley and Benak is our attorney of record that will...
That's two motions, Roby. You're going to have to split those into two.
Okay, I move that we appoint Myrna Castle to the board of directors as required by our bylaws.
Do we have a second?
I second it.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. Opposed? Here we are.
You can't vote unless there's a tie.
No, that's not correct, actually.
Okay, now you want to make the second motion?
I move that at present, we make Langley and Benak our attorney of record, and that they...
Well, I think they already are, but go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I've yet to see that because I asked for that.
Go ahead.
Go.
And they're the attorneys that resolve this issue, and that the board would approve our administration using Langley and Benak this time.
I will second that motion.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous. Okay,
And
we'll get an opinion from them, and if they say, like I said, and I think this is fair, if they say that Myrna Castle is, by virtue of the regulations, rules, is the next one who's on the board, we can hold an emergency board meeting and swear in.
Because there would be no board approval necessary at that point because the statute would require it.
Right.
So there would be no waiting on that.
Right.
And we would ask that our Director of Operations obtain that opinion from Langley as soon as possible. Because there are other issues, we need to be doing it right. And as Mr. Roberson's attorney was so kind to tell us, if we are doing it wrong, then we need to correct it. But since we had our attorney previously tell us we were part of this act, this statute, I don't think we can just ignore that. So now we will need to go get that opinion.
15-minute discussion period. Eight. If they're still here. Gonna have to make it short and sweet. Number one, time. Number two, I'm getting hungry. Okay.
How many people do we have?
8. basically, yeah. Okay, we're gonna have to cut it down to 2 minutes per person, so we can fill within our 15-minute discussion period. If they're not here, then we can add, but anyway, Woody Hornberger.
I think the board could probably vote to allow a little more time.
Well, we'll see, you know, I mean, we don't wanna be here to.
All right, I think all of you, all of us believe in the democratic process. And presidential elections, the majority rules. It's a choice of the people. All right, I'd like to go back that Keeley, when she was appointed, she was the people's choice. And Mr. Winchell told us that she was the next in line. And we all settled down and agreed. That's true. All right, so Keeley, when she resigned, then the board appointed someone. The next person in line was not appointed. And the person that was selected was not the people's choice and has never run for the office that had an opportunity to when we had an election. So I would say, if you agree in the people's choice, the next vote getter is Verna Castle. And therefore, I think that we shouldn't be going through all this folderol in regard to the next person who will fill the board of directors vacancy.
Thank you. Woody Trotter?
I really, at this time, don't have anything to say.
Okay. Somebody's going to have to help me with this one. This is somebody signed in, looks like green ink. Can you see? I don't know if you can see your signature from back there, but.
That would be me.
Oh, okay.
John? Okay.
Yes, thank you. We have an identification problem. I had to ask my own church to remove me from their email list because no one can identify a simple signature. Did we receive an email? Are we getting our identifications? Do I have to apologize to a good friend and neighbor for decades because I can't find her garage sale? And she had the blessed heart to come talk to me in person. And we accepted and exchanged condolences and understanding. So there are many different places that have the exact same problem and the exact same places. And where is this garage sale? Is it here? I asked where unit 38 is and a sign says Shafter. Is this in my backyard? Am I wasting time going back and forth? To that person, I apologize. To other locations that just have rapid transit problem, I believe that is a digestive term. It goes in and out too fast. So I'm going to say I'd like to stay here and listen to this, but I have a master care to pray for a blessed friend who should be here. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Art Baker?
I think that if the board of directors and director of operations would read the bylaws and the declaration, they would know what to do. You wouldn't have to ask anybody. It's very simple. If you don't know, find out what you need to know before you do it. If you turn the page on audited financial statement, who all has an audited financial statement? There's one back there that does. All the board members have one?
I'm sure.
Okay,
No, I've never got one yet.
Turn to page 2. There's a declaration there of, on the supplement. It's not used in in the financial statement, but it's part of the financial statement. In other words, it's used to form the financial statement. Okay, if you'd read that, well, it would say that the manager, which is the director of operations, should furnish the accountant with a true and accurate copy of the financial condition of the fort, without any leaving out anything. And it states in here that there's some of the things that's missing, but they went ahead anyway. And here is a list of things that's missing out of the financial report. The town hall, Shafter Hall, amphitheater, service club, swim park, stables, par 3 golf course, adult center, youth center, member services, and hunting. That wasn't listed to the accountant, and that's part of the association. And I don't know why it wasn't entered in by the director of operations. Maybe you know, somebody knows.
Okay, we'll have to look into that.
Sir?
We'll look into it.
I didn't understand.
Go ahead.
He's gonna check on it.
Huh?
He's gonna check on it.
I'll check on it. Check on it by foot. You already checked on it. You already know it. And here is
Okay, next, your time is up, sir. We have to go on.
Here is on the general fund, assets, current assets.
Sir, your time is up. We have to go on.
Turn it up.
Your time's up.
Turn it down. What'd you say?
Your time's up. We have to call the next person.
Time is up.
Cut it off?
Yeah.
Why you want me to cut it off for?
Because we've only got
We've got a time frame. We're doing this on the time limit.
What did you say, that I couldn't talk?
No. Your time is up. We are
Time is up.
Yes.
Well, why didn't you say that?
I did.
And really, I don't care if the time is up. You should look at the audited financial statement and see the mistakes that's in it. Period.
Okay.
Right here is one on the general fund.
Mr. Hahn?
$44,100 out of the income fund. It never did come out of the income fund. It's still in the income fund. So it wasn't paid, or I don't know what happened. So there's a whole lot of mistakes in this thing, and you better look at it real close.
First of all, I'd like to suggest, I have a number of questions here. I'd like to suggest to the board, we lost a longtime member this week, Wiley Simmons. In the past, when we lost a member with his level of commitment to the association, there's been a message on the marquee that simply said, Vaya con Dios, Wiley Simmons. We shouldn't have to stop at the gate to find out who died when the flag goes at half-mast. So I, for one, didn't always agree with Mr. Simmons, but his heart was in the right place, and he did what he thought was right for this association for many, many, many years. And his funeral's at 1 o'clock this afternoon at the Catholic Church. Which two directors serve on the Preservation Committee? You're on the Preservation Committee, Mr. Herman?
Yes, sir.
You are. Who's the other director that's on the Preservation Committee?
Pick one.
No, they have to be appointed.
We have to appoint one? We will appoint one.
Well, but the Preservation Committee's been operating for well over a year without representation from the Board of Directors, and that's contrary
That's
to
fine. I
Fort Clark
understand that.
Springs Policy Resolution
Okay.
0801.
So we have to correct it.
Yes, you do.
Right.
And
Okay, and you have 3 people right here would have to be one of the other board members.
you folks decide.
Right, I understand that. I'm just saying it would be one of the
Okay,
3.
well, I would
Okay.
just like to see the committee composed of the correct people. All right? I remind the board that all your terms of office as presidents, vice presidents, secretaries, treasurers expired last 2 months ago. So you need to take action to elect a president, a vice president, a secretary, a treasurer. I really would like to commend Rihanna, on her passion for what she does. It's very commendable. And, but I would suggest that she revisit her source of information. I was the chief appraiser in 2007. There was no request from Fort Clark Springs to return lots. The information provided was incorrect. Wherever she got it from, she just needs to check her source because the information is wrong. And finally, I point out the board already knows that Fort Clark Springs failed to file its business personal property rendition for 2014, and that will apply an automatic 10% penalty to the taxes on all our business personal property. Also, that the Fort Clark Springs Association failed to timely file their application for a historic site property tax exemption on our 6 recorded Texas historic landmark properties, which will add
Okay.
$2,911.21
Okay,
to the, I can hear perfectly.
I know,
And I'm
I'm
still
saying.
talking, I have the floor.
Yes, but your
I
time is up and we have to continue.
The floor.
Your time is up and we have to continue.
$2,911.21 will be added unnecessarily to the Fort's property tax bill, which you guys will pass on in a secret meeting to the membership. I just want to make you aware of that. The association was also asked to provide the names of the people who own private hangars at the airport. They failed to do that. So that means all of us will pay the property taxes on someone's airplane hangar at the airport. This is gross negligence. Thank you.
Thank you.
Why were these things not done? Did we not do this?
We'll discuss that. It's business.
Why is it in private? What?
It's under regular business operation during the
Just
day.
because somebody doesn't have much of a life and they want to go and try to...
Okay, all right, look, hold it.
No, stop.
Hold it. We're going to go on.
Okay,
We
ladies and
got
gentlemen.
your information, thank
We
you.
will look into this.
Shelley Brown.
Well, what an act of folly.
Yeah, what a great.
Okay. Is it possible for the monthly P&L for Lost Moors Corporation be added to the preliminary P&L we have on the back of the sheet every month?
I don't see why not.
Thank you. Have the videos of all the past board meetings been put on the Fort Clark Springs website?
No.
I'm getting phone calls from friends that live out of state. They like those videos posted.
They are posted.
They said they weren't.
Many of them seem to have been locked and you need a password or
No,
something
they
for
are
them.
all there.
Okay.
Thank you.
I will tell them when they call. Will this meeting be posted?
Yes, ma'am.
When?
It takes about 3 days.
I'll call them. Thank you.
Mary Partlow.
I just have a question for the architecture committee members. You said you were going to advertise for people who are interested in serving on that committee, and I'd like to know how you're going to do that. How you're going to advertise for people to come forward and say they're interested in serving. That's one question. And another question is, does the architecture committee have the authority to file, what's the word, a complaint about some kind of property on the fort? There's a neighbor in my neighborhood who's a hoarder. And I understand that we've put in the neighbors have put in several, what do you call it?
Complaints.
Complaints.
Violations.
Violations
We put in 2 complaints.
And it doesn't happen. So who has, is it the architecture committee I need to go to, or is it somebody else I need to go to?
You have to fill out a form. There are forms to fill out that goes to the architect committee. They check it out, and then they will send a letter of violation to the person or persons involved.
The letter goes, then what happens?
Goes to the architectural committee.
There's a follow-up. They're given 10 days to, or whatever time frame it is, to complete the, to eliminate the violation. If not, they are levied a fine.
By who?
By all of us.
And then if they don't pay the fine, well, I'm just wondering, this has been going on for years.
I understand what you're saying, and it kind of, to me, the way this would work is kind of the same way you would do on let's use you as an example, that you do not pay your dues and you become delinquent. After a certain amount of time, you are sent a letter to pay or go on a payment plan. After that, you can be put a lien on your property.
Well, that's a totally different issue.
No, but I mean, I'm saying you're talking about a procedure.
Well, I just would like to know that something's...
I know it's a problem.
Okay, never mind.
No.
I'm not going to say it right now.
No.
Okay. How are you going to advertise? If I'm interested in the architecture committee, how am I going to know that I can put my name forward for it? I want to know. You're going to send out an email, you're going to put it in the paper. How is the membership going to know that this opportunity is available?
I don't know how you can do that. How do you decide who gets on, who becomes? I know, but we can post it.
We'll
but
post it on the marquee.
The architect committee, the community council, the preservation society, and so on and so forth.
We could include it in the newsletter and post it on the marquee.
Yeah.
Well, the email one, I guess.
Okay, next. Is it George Hillig? Or Hilbig or Hillig? Looks like Hillig. Hilberg?
He left, Hilby.
Okay. That concludes our discussion period.
Mr. Herman, could I have 1 minute? I have a suggestion I want to make to take less than 1 minute. I didn't sign up.
Okay.
My name is Chris Hale, and
Can you hear you?
my name is Chris Hale, and I serve on the State of Texas Guadalupe San Antonio Stakeholder Committee, and also on the Stakeholder Committee are the heads of 2 river authorities, San Antonio and Nueces River Authorities. And I happen to know, just as a result of that involvement, that Arundo is a very terrible plant. It spreads like California wildfire, and Nueces River Authority especially has spent a ton of money in the last 3 or 4 years, federal and state grant money, trying to slow the wildfire. And I've noticed recently that there's some Arundo down just below the swimming pool and up that sluice that comes from Brackett. And I took the liberty a few days ago of asking Con Mims and Sky Louie with Nueces River Authority if they would be amenable to providing some technical support, not the removal, but some recommendations on the proper way. Because again, Arundo takes off like 100,000 jackrabbits and spreads. And 1 acre of Arundo, I'm told, research shows, sucks up somewhere between 24 and 48 acre-feet of water. So my suggestion is to take advantage of the Nueces River Authority's expertise that they've, unfortunately for them, had to build up over the last few years with a lot of federal and state money to try and nip in the bud Arundo spreading down Los Morros, because it spreads like a jungle and sucks water big time and becomes a monster to eradicate. So that's my suggestion. If you're interested, and tell me who in the association is the follow-on point, I'll get the Nueces River Authority folks to contact them about coming over to provide some recommendations.
How's that spelled, Chris?
Arundo, Arundo. There's a scientific name for it, but I don't know what that is.
I would think that, that you should get with Jody and Philip and see what kind of a plan of action could be taken.
Okay.
And then go from there.
Is this a riparian area
Yes.
plant?
Yes, very much so.
So we're in jeopardy along the fort, creek areas,
Yes,
not necessarily, not out in the desert areas.
Well, I'm told, well, it's dependent upon water, and of course out in the desert, no water. But I'm told that if you cut it and toss it, it'll sprout. That it knows how to propagate very efficiently.
What does it look like in case?
It's kind of a cane-like plant. It's cane leafy, and it grows thick and puts down massive roots and sucks water, is all of what I'm told. And the only reason I know, again, is I've sat in some meetings over the last couple of years and heard horror stories from the Oasis River Authority especially.
Would you spell it again, please?
Arundo, Arundo.
Sounds like we should take whatever measure we have to.
Well, yeah, I understand that, but I mean, he needs to get with, management and maintenance and see what they're recommending to do.
I'll pass those names to the Oasis River folks and get them to contact.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay. That concludes our meeting. Our next regular board meeting will be on June 21st, 9 o'clock. Motion to adjourn, please.
Move that we adjourn?
Second.
All in favor? We are adjourned.